I'm the tastemaker in Bonabeau world, So anyway, that's the small digression. But back to the seeds, the seeds are there and they grow, they don't grow. There's this taste feedback. But where did the seed come from? And I think that's the question that I've been interested in for a long time. What where does that even come from? And I it's that's it. I think it's an unsolved question, and it's coming back to the forefront now and then. Yeah, and there was an article recently that I thought like a little article from maybe 1 or 2 days ago that about um, you know Einstein coming up with theory of relativity, and the fact that you needed to accept you need to take something that was considered a measurement error and say, actually, if it's not a measurement error and it's actually because it was a very consistent measurement error. So, like, when something, you know, occurs over and over and over again, maybe it's not a measurement error. Maybe it's actually
It's an anomaly that needs to be described
Well,
better in
it's
exactly.
theory.
It's
an important variable that you were not measuring, that you had
Right.
not taken into account.
right.
Right. Like Thomas
Okay.
Kuhn writes about
Mhm.
structure of scientific revolutions, and what drives the new revolution is an anomaly that keeps occurring. So it's no longer anomalous in certain situations. And that's what Einstein did, is said, now I'm going to, do a scientific revolution with this new theory. Yeah, it's very
I
powerful.
I don't know how Einstein thought about it, but he definitely said, okay, well, I think it's a it's a nice repackaging of Einstein. Okay, what I'm talking about here, but it's really okay. This thing, you know, uh, is it's not what we're expecting. Must be a measurement error. I mean, physicists typically say that. I mean, like not theoretical physicists, but so
Well,
and so he
theoretical
said, okay,
physicists say that all the time.
um,
That it might be a measurement
yeah,
error. In fact, they
oh,
would
okay,
prefer
actually,
that
you're right.
if they would prefer that if it's their theory that's on the line, they wouldn't like it to be a measurement error.
Yeah, yeah. So, and the idea that, the speed of light is is always the same, no matter what from anywhere. And even if you're moving, the speed of light is still there. It's just that, like, okay, Einstein said, okay, if that's the truth, then what do you need for that to be true, right? What is the framework that you need for that to be true? And to had to construct something that was like it was not a re shuffling of existing building blocks of Newtonian physics. Okay, it had to be something very different. It had to it had to start from a completely different framework. And I'm sure at the time Einstein was considered an alien by people who were in that space in that field. Uh, and so the question is, where does that seed come from? Because there's the recognition there's an anomaly, and that maybe that anomaly is the truth, right? It's not a mistake, it's not an error, it's not a small thing. It's the truth. Uh, but then there's like, okay, well, how do you now, come up with an explanation for that? Because it flew in the face of everything that people thought they knew at the time. Um,
So
you
that's
know, uh,
one. So I'm very curious because that's one class of new idea. You're motivated to create a new idea based on something that you observe. So in the world of science, that's one way that new discoveries happen. Other
mhm.
ways, if we even just stick to the world of science, there's other ways that new discoveries happen. And sometimes it's literally something pops into your head and you're like, holy cow, I never thought of that. Let me test that out. So it's like driven by the new idea first, and then, you are given instructions from whatever source of how to test that idea. And I've done both of those things in my life as a scientist. They feel very different, but they're the same kind of, it's like you're starting at a different place, but it's still sort of the same out of the blue. Either I am out of the blue observing this anomaly, and now I am out of the blue trying to figure out what to do with it, versus I am out of the blue starting from square one, and I never thought of this before. And now I have to go find out about it. So that's just in the world of science. But I think those same kind of sort of different points on the creative pathway and starting there occur for artists or performers or problem solvers, even analysts, right? Anyone who has to use some neurons to figure out what's going on. And so the only differentiation is where in that pathway you sort of get the aha moment. But the aha moment is the thing that comes, quote, out of the blue. So I'm really with you on that being a mystery. Um, I'm not at all. I don't feel experience what you're saying as pushback. I feel it as support because a seed is just an
It's a
artifact.
mystery.
It's an artifact of the mysterious process. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So then I do not accept yeah, I do not accept the mystery. I mean, I accept mystery in general. I think that in the sense that there are things that are probably things that are unknowable, and it's totally acceptable to me. But it doesn't mean that I don't want to go further and try to know and understand. And that particular type of mystery, I think, is that's what's been driving me for a long time. And I love the example of artists because yeah, I mean, like initially it was like I need an operating theory of creativity that I can put into a computer, not for the computer to be creative, because for me, creativity is actually the intersection of, a generative intelligence and the experience, the view of the human.
The observer.
It's the observer. I mean, I think, like in the eye of the beholder is, it's often taken as as something bad. I think it's wonderful. What Bonobo likes is very much in the eye of Bonobo.